No matter where we are born, we all have the same origin. If many believe we are stardust, we Peruvians prefer to call ourselves children of the sun. And our connection with the universe is our greatest inspiration to transcend and build some of humanity's greatest constructions, which today have endured over time. It is because we have learned that the only way to look to the future is to keep the past alive. That is why we are and will be a country that transcends space and time, a timeless country. Heirs of a legacy that was ahead of its time. When the world was ruled by men, we had already been ruled by a wise woman. When the world was ravaged by a harsh climate, our technology turned arid areas into large reserves of ingredients and turned inedible fruits into foods that nourish the planet today. When the wonders of the world began to lose their shine, we gave back to the world the ability to be amazed. But if there is something we always knew, it is that building bridges is the best way to immortalize the ties that bind us to the past, to connect us with tomorrow. Today, Peru is preparing to take part in one of the most important international events of recent years, Expo 2020 Dubai. There, we will take our ancient culture, unique wealth, and ancestral wisdom and put it on display before millions of attendees. And we will share with each of them the infinite wealth of Peru, a wealth that transcends time and is here to stay.
Hello everyone. On behalf of PROMPERÚ, the Tourism Board of Peru, we thank you all for joining us today in this webinar, The Impact of Digitalization on the Promotion of Tourism Sector, the Peruvian Experience. My name is Amora Carbajal, and I'm the Director of Tourism Promotion for PROMPERÚ, and today we will virtually be traveling through my gorgeous country. Peru is a country in Western South America. Peru is the 19th largest country in the world and the 3rd largest country in South America. And to give you an idea of the size, it's 15 times as big as the United Arab Emirates or twice as big as France. We share borders with the Pacific Ocean, Ecuador and Colombia, and in the east by Brazil and southeast by Bolivia and also Chile in the south. And Peru holds a population of 31.5 million. Our official languages are Spanish, Quechua, and Aymara, and these last two are dated back in the early 15th century, earlier than the Inca civilization and widely spread and still spoken through the Andes from Ecuador to Peru, Bolivia, Chile, and also in the north of Argentina. Perhaps you have heard words like llama, puma, condor, and quinoa. Well, these are actually Quechua words taken into the English language. Peru is one of the world's most diverse countries. It's a multicultural nation filled with traditions, a unique gastronomy, and vast natural reserves. As you will see in the map, its enormous territory, covering more than 1.2 million square kilometers, is composed of 3 regions. The Amazon rainforest covers 59% of Peru. It's the richest and most varied tropical rainforest on Earth. With a rainy season that runs from November to March, it's home to the Amazon River, natural reserves, and national parks. The Andes Mountain Range, or highlands, covers 30% of the territory, and it's the 2nd highest mountain range in the world. It holds some of the highest snow-capped summits like Mount Huascarán, deep canyons like Colca Canyon, and the world's highest navigable lake like Titicaca Lake. The coast covers 11% of the territory, but it's home to more than half of all Peruvians, and it's a narrow strip of 2,500 kilometers. Our country boasts spectacular sceneries, incredible sand dunes, beautiful beaches, impressive mountains, including rich and varied heritage towns, and undeniable exotic Amazon flora and fauna. Peru was the third country in South America to receive the Safe Travels, Global Protocols, and Stamp for the New Normal, meaning that our main tourist destinations like Machu Picchu meet all the international hygiene and strict biosecurity protocols installed for the new normal, ensuring safety and our workforce and travelers. Even though our tourist destinations are working at restricted capacity, this will revert gradually according to the advice of the Peruvian Health Office. The best tour guide in the world is Efrain from Cusco, according to the British Wanderlust magazine. A man who is breaking up boundaries has something to tell us.
Hello, my friends from all over the world. My name is Efrain, and I was born in Cusco, Peru. In this opportunity, I would like to welcome you and invite you to visit my country, my hometown, Cusco. And I would like to also invite you to visit my country in my native language, Quechua. Alin punchay kacho lipik tispa uwai ke panakuna. Unan punchay min kakoi kichis. Kosto ya taiman ham na kitispa. Welcome to Peru. Why to visit Peru? Well, its people are just amazing. Very friendly and ready to help you whenever you want. Let's talk about Cusco, my hometown. Nowadays, you can see in Cusco City, in my hometown, this mix between Inca culture and Spanish. Walking through the streets, you don't just see stones, you don't just see houses and temples, you breathe history. My friends, now let's explore together Machu Picchu. Who ordered to build Machu Picchu was Pachacute, the ninth Inca, the most important one, the one who expanded the Inca Empire. Perhaps he ordered to build that place as a resting place. Machu Picchu is the summary of the Inca Empire. We're having more and more people to experience this site, to explore it, to enjoy it, to feel it. My friends, Machu Picchu means old mountain, an amazing place that actually is inviting you to visit. Well, now let's talk about Quetzalcoatl. During Inca time, they were able to build, to expand their territory, building trails. Basically, to connect, to control, and to subjugate all of them. Our territory is rugged. It means there are many canyons, and the only way to pass through those canyons will be using those hanging bridges. My friends, all of those hanging bridges all over the Inca Empire already disappeared, except one, Quetzalcoatl. The second week of June of every single year, the communities around, they renew it, they rebuild. The knowledge will be transmitted from generation to generation. It means that custom, that tradition will never stop. This bridge is the connection between my civilization, my time, with the past civilization, with the past time. My friends, come to Peru. I invite you to Peru, not just to see it, to live an experience of a lifetime. I will be waiting for you, my friends. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you so much, Efrain, for sharing with us a piece of Cusco. It will worth the wait for visiting Machu Picchu, walk through the Quetzalcoatl Bridge, and learn about the cultural heritage. So now let's go to Puno, located at 3,825 meters above sea level. The Andean Plateau of Peru is dominated by Lake Titicaca, the world's highest navigable lake. And this is Arequipa, the second largest city of Peru, and holds a 15th century historic center declared by UNESCO as a World Cultural Heritage in the year 2000. Arequipa is well known as the White City because most of its constructions are made of sillar, a white volcanic stone. The Colca Valley and Canyon are one of the most popular destinations in Arequipa. Located in the northeast of the city and 4 hours by car, the second world's deepest canyon reaches 3,400 meters at its deepest point, twice deep as the U.S. Grand Canyon. Strategic natural viewpoints along the valley allow visitors to admire the vast landscape and majestic flight of the condors. Now it's the turn of Ica, Nazca. Some questions raised about this Peruvian destination because little is actually known about Peru's Nazca lines. What do they represent? Who built them? Were aliens maybe involved? Declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1994, geologists believe these geoglyphics were likely made between years 400 and 600 by a pre-Inca culture, the Nazca. The Nazca lines include straight lines and geometric shapes such as the monkey, the condor, the astronaut, the spider, among others. Peru has the second largest portion of the Amazon River after Brazil, the greatest river of South America and the largest drainage system in the world in terms of volume and its flow. It is slightly shorter than the Nile River, but its length is the equivalent of distance from New York to Rome. Iquitos, the capital of Loreto, is the main port city of the Peruvian Amazon River site. You can explore the vast Amazon by cruise through the Amazon River or canopying walkways. This is Lima. Lima is the capital city of Peru, the only capital in South America facing the Pacific Ocean, and it's the second largest desert capital after Cairo and Egypt. The city never experiences proper rain and has a mild weather all year long. It houses an international airport called Jorge Chávez, which is about 40 minutes from the historic center of Lima and 1 hour from the main tourist districts such as Miraflores or San Isidro. With over 1,000 years of history, Lima, an ancient Spanish colonial city, often referred to as the City of Kings or the gastronomy capital of Latin America, boasts 2 of the 50 best restaurants in the world. Lima is the ideal place to discover the multi-faced heritage of Peruvian cuisine, a destination to experience the mix of European, African, Asian, and Andean cuisines. At this point, you are remarkably close to know all the important Peruvian facts, but there is missing some important details about our cultural heritage to complete this journey. So now let's enjoy an overview of Peru as a cradle of the oldest civilizations in the world, made by the recognized as the best museum in South America and one of the 20 best in the world, the Museo Larco. Please welcome to Samantha Encalada, Director of Institutional Relations at the Museo Larco, archaeologist by profession and passionate on Peru tourism promotion.
Thank you so much for the presentation, and thank you all for coming. It's great that even in these difficult times, we're able to have tools like this to make you understand a little bit better what it is that you are going to sell or what it is that you're about to sell, that is Peru. So thank you so much for having me and for listening. I'm here to give the real introduction as to what is Peru, because for a lot of people who come over here, Peru is this stamp of Machu Picchu and the stamp of the Incas. And I'm not discrediting that. I know that there's a lot of people who want to come over here, and that's completely valid. But once you come over, you have to discover that it's way beyond what you expect. The Incas were only a very small part of the real history of Peru. And we try to look at Peru from a cultural perspective because it has so much richness to it. And I think that most of our journeys going on further on, especially after this year, will be more about self-discovery, and that Peru is going to be mixed in with it. Just trust me. Just trust me. So if you can see in this slide, Peru, the part of the Incas of the history of Peru is actually just a little bit over 100 years old. And it's not even a little bit of the history of Peru. But why were they famous? In 1532, the Spanish people arrived to the coast and they did the conquista process and all of that. But the important part that we're taking out of this is that they started writing chronicles about the Incas. That is, writings about everything that the Incas believed in and their system and their way of governing and their traditions. And those chronicles were the chronicles that ended up going all the way to Europe and further on to the world. And for hundreds of years, the image that people had of Peru were the Incas. We knew that there were some cultures that existed before them, but it really wasn't until the 20th century with the start of Peruvian archaeology. One of the pioneers was actually the founder of Museo del Arco. You can see him here in the middle. He's Rafael Arco Joile. When all of these investigators started making actual excavations, we discovered something furthermore, that the Incas were not only just a small part of the Peruvian history, but that we also have so many other cultures in different places of Peru. And even now, it's crazy to believe that 30 years ago, we didn't know that Peru was 8,000 years old as a culture, as a civilization. Now we know that we have one of the oldest civilizations in the world, one of the oldest in general. And Peru is now considered a cradle of civilization. It's a big title. It's a big title because very, very few people, very few countries in the world or places in the world have this title, is where civilization started individually, right from the beginning. And so you have Egypt, you have Mesopotamia, as usual, you have China, you have India, you also have Mesoamerica, and you have Peru. And Peru is very, very special in that context because it's not only one of the cradles of civilization, it is also the only cradle of civilization in the southern hemisphere. As you know, the hemispheres really affect your time and your date and the light of day that you have. And it's very interesting to discover it that way. Okay. But that's an academic study for later, but it is quite special. And now we know that that by discovering all of the ancient civilizations, you start seeing who you are now. Because ancient civilizations have something very much in common that we don't have right now. We live in a consumer society. Now, what does that mean? That means that I can just go to the supermarket and go to the local markets and get my food. I don't have to work for it. I mean, I do have to work for it, but I don't have to actually take it out of the land in order to eat it. And so that's very different from how ancient civilizations used to work. And I'm not just talking about Peru. I'm talking about any other ancient civilization in the world. They had agricultural societies. They depended on their land in order to survive. Peru is one of those places. And not only that, but in Peru, you have many different regions. Because remember, I live in the coast. And I live with everything's shining and everything's sunny, and I live next to the ocean, and I have a different kind of soil. And then you go to the Andes and you have something way, way different. And then you go to the jungle and you have something else, right, with the rainforest. So all of these different diversities will also make it very special. But the main point is that we do live in agricultural societies way back then, and they depended on their land. And what this means for their way of living and for the way that they thought about the world is that they created a way of seeing the world that depended on the cycles of nature. Agricultural societies have a calendaric year that starts with the agriculture, basically. And you have to make all of this possible through just to maintain that cycle. And they have different kinds of traditions. They make offerings. Just to be a little bit short about that, there's a world that exists underneath us. underneath the land where you plant the seeds. And so you need to honor that. And that's why you make offerings. And then there are gods that live on top of you in the skies where you cannot reach, that control the weather, that will control your system. So you have to make offerings to them as well. That's not something just in Peru. It's something about the traditions and the way that they had of seeing the world that really creates that. So each object that you can see, for example, all of these are pieces from the museum, but you can see them and they're beautiful in their own way, but you can see even further beyond that. And that's what makes it beautiful. So I can see this piece, for example, that is made of gold and it's made of silver and it's beautiful. But beyond that, I can also see that it's a piece that represents duality. It has this way of seeing the world in which you have to have a balance. You can have every single kind of division from duality, you know, whether it's day and night or light and darkness or up and down. It doesn't really matter, but you know that in nature, there are opposites that exist to complement each other and create a whole. So duality was very well represented, not just in Peru, but everywhere else in the world. You see all of these pieces, you can interact with them. You create an intimate connection because you can see them face to face and you can really see why they did it. Beyond just, oh, this is such a striking piece, it's very beautiful, but you can see beyond that as well. So that's what really makes it special, to see ancient cultures and to see ancient civilizations. And it's not just because these exist solely in a museum and I come from a museum and I'm telling you about how amazing history is, but these ways, the lifestyle and the way of seeing the world, the cosmovision, as we like to call it, really translates all the way until now. The way that you see it now, we have a lot of different places that have traditions that still relate to what existed 5,000 years ago, which is amazing. So it means that a trip to Peru will be double splendid because you will not only see the history then, but you will see the history now and how that has mixed in with the culture of Peruvian people. So once you see, I put a picture of the museum here of one of the galleries, just to talk about how it's not just about the galleries. In the museum, we like to say that this is just the gateway to ancient Peru. It's just a gateway because once you keep on exploring the rest of Peru, you will discover so many things that make it special and that make you want to come back. And you will see a lot of tools going on afterwards through the rest of the presentations. And I wish you the best with that. It's going to be great. But just keep remembering that it's way beyond what any of us can explain to you until you come here. So all of these pieces, they may be striking, but you know now at least I don't have enough time to tell you just how specific the meaning of each piece is, but now you know it has meaning. Now you know it has more value than what you actually see. And that's going to happen not just with Machu Picchu, it's going to happen with pieces like this as well, or just the other way around. This is a striking piece. It's one of our most photographed pieces in the museum. But even if you're looking at this, or if you're looking at Machu Picchu, you will see that there is a lot more than meets the eye. And that's what's beautiful. You will see the beauty of the object, of the place that you're looking at, but you will also discover a little bit of yourself in the meantime. So remember, Peru is a cultural destination. It's one of the oldest civilizations in the world. And we're here to invite you and to welcome you. As soon as the borders are open, we're waiting for you. I hope that you enjoy the rest of the presentation and hope to see you later on here in Peru. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Samantha. We really enjoyed your presentation. Well, now, this is Peru, a bucket list destination. One of our main challenges is to keep the interest of visitors to Peru. Finding new approaches to present our millenary culture and unique environments are key to keep the attention of potential visitors. That is why you will easily find further information about Peru is to download and share. The App Peru brochure contains key information in eight languages about our main tourist destinations such as Cusco, Puno, and Arequipa. Well, it's time to talk about our experience in the digital strategy in the Chinese market. As it is well known, China has its own digital ecosystem where social media platforms like WeChat and Weibo are immensely popular instead of the well-known like Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. For Peru as a new destination, not yet trendy in China, it was fundamental to build a brand awareness using digital media content through Chinese social media platforms. In this context, our Peruvian strategy was to set up our official destination accounts in 5 platforms like WeChat, Weibo, Douyin, TikTok for Western markets, Tihu, and Mafenwu, accomplishing our key performance indicators in each social media platform. Peru is getting a strong presence in every stage of the customer journey, plus the setup of a website in China with specified content for Chinese travelers makes our digital marketing funnel complete. Thanks to our digital marketing strategy, Peru has become more popular among Chinese travelers. In 2018, in order to position Peru into the Chinese luxury segment for a long-haul destination, Peru launched Uncover the Mysteries of Peru. It was our first campaign in the Chinese market with the participation of key opinion leaders. At that point, Peru became the first country in Latin America with a leading video content strategy for the Chinese market. Each episode of the video content, Unique Experiences in Peru, finally translated into Chinese living style. The campaign has reached more than 3.4 million views. Well, thank you everyone. Thank you for your time and for joining us today. I really hope you had a great time learning more about Peru, and I hope seeing you soon in Peru.
Soon, you will go where you have only traveled with your imagination. Peru is getting ready to make you feel safe, cared for, protected. We have been turning distance into an art for years, caring about the smallest details because the effort is worth it. We have learned to build bridges to feel closer, uniting our paths regardless of how far we might be. Take a breath and enjoy a country that has lived in harmony with nature and the universe for over 5,000 years. Now, everything that makes us great will let us welcome you back, because we also dream of meeting you again, and we're preparing to make it special.